Hi, everybody. It's Wednesday, 6 p.m. It's live time. And we're going to be talking today about the Akashic Records. This is a fascinating topic. So, what are the Akashic Records? We hear this all the time. In simple words, a non physical vibrational library called Akashic Records is a gigantic place in which every account of every life is kept. Not only does it contain all of the lifetimes of human beings, but also other life forms. Now, this physical sounding description can be a little bit misleading. Technically speaking, the Akashic records are in the astral realm. So in the non-physical plane, which means it's not a physical or tangible place. So when we say that we are visiting the Akashic records, what we're describing is a shift in consciousness awareness. Okay. So what we're speaking more specifically about entering into a connection with a spiritual dimension and describing it through familiar physical constructs. Okay, so because it's easier for us to say, I'm going to the Akashic Records, which is a library. It's not really a library, it's consciousness, right? Is where all the information, every single thing, event, thought, past, present, or future of any life form, okay? Some people also have spoken about the existence of tablets of light, which contain all information about all people, places, events, and time. So I've been in the Akashic Records many times, and so have my students. And I have seen books. I have entered the records and go into something that looks to me like a podium. Remember, all these are visualizations. This is for our understanding, okay? Because this is consciousness. This is not a physical place, but it's easier for us as humans to understand if we see a physical thing. So I've been standing into a place that looks like a podium, and there's a book or there's a wall of books, and I have, intuitively pulled a book, and I open it intuitively again, and I look down and I find the information that I'm looking for. I have also in the same podium seen like almost like books, but when I touch it, a tablet comes out. And sometimes that tablet has had crystals. And then I grab the crystal, which becomes somewhat of a key, okay? Something like you would see on a, I don't know, on a sci-fi movie where, where the I'm sorry, some of you are trying to get in and can't. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know if I can put the link in the in the in the group right now. So the crystal, I continue moving around and found a door and put the crystal in the door, and the door has opened. Very cool. So those are some of the experiences that I've had with the records. Now, the term Akashic has its roots in the Sanskrit word Akasha, meaning ether, or something that's associated with the atmosphere. In metaphysical teachings, Akasha is the element of magic. It is also the elemental synthesis of the four physical elements: air, fire, water, and earth. Thus, the Akashic records exist in the ether and embody all aspects of all occurrences that have taken place, including human lifetimes. Again, these are not actual books or tablets in an actual physical library. They exist in an energetic realm, but they can still help us attain crystal clear clarity about our soul journeys and lives. Some people also believe that they are in a mental realm, and others describe their location in the astral or spiritual realm. So how can you enter the records, the Akashic records? Some people believe that entering the Akashic records requires the assistance of a teacher, a guide, or a guru, and that approval is necessary to access specific information about one's own path or the path of others. Now, the records will never give you information you're not ready to receive. End of story. Just like when we are doing a mediumship reading, spirit is never going to give you information to you or to your seer that the person who's receiving the message is not ready to receive. Spirit doesn't do that. Also, if you're not allowed in any way, shape, or form, not with tarot, not with the records, not with a pendulum, not with mediumship, in any way, shape, or form, spy on the lives of others. Okay. So if I, out of curiosity, want to go check on an ex-boyfriend's records without his consent, I'm just not going to be allowed to do that. Spirit is just not going to allow for me to do that unless the information somehow benefit me and the collective. So if I'm looking for some information that is going to be healing to me, they will provide that to me, and only that. We're not allowed to go spy onto anybody's business. Now, if I want to go into my minor child's records, also not for spying purposes, but for healing purposes, I am allowed to do that. All right. So if you at any point are going to read for a minor, somebody under 18 years of age, you have to have a parent's consent to do that. So yeah, you just can't. So that's why I just cannot go and search the Akashic records for Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie or Jennifer Lopez or whoever it could be, because they have the right to their privacy, even their past lives. We just cannot do that without their consent. So in that instance, access is required for the records, but not for ours. Okay, we can go look in our past lives, in our future lives, certainly in our present lives, the Akashic records, but with the intent of healing, with the intent to understand if somebody, I have one of my students, her son has a fear of fire. He has never been on a fire. He has never seen a movie that people get burned. So she doesn't really understand why he has that fear. So she could go in the records and ask to see where is the root cause of this fear of fire, and if it's in a past life or something, the records would show it to her because it's her child and she's looking for healing purposes. Okay, she's not just being nosy. All right. Um, now, some um, some people believe that this approval being necessary to access is just is for certain religious beliefs, but it's not. It's because we're just not allowed to go into other people's just privacy without their consent. Now, it is important to note that some gurus, some teachers, uh, may claim that there is only one true way to access the Akashic records, which is not accurate. There's a very famous author, Linda Howie. She has a very famous book. It's a very good read. Um, I think it's called Learn the Akashic Records or something like that. It's a very small book. It's very easy to read. I have it and I've read it a couple times. Her way of entering the records is with some prayer. She has an opening prayer and a closing prayer, which to me, I tried it when I was learning the records, I don't know how many years ago. And what I had to do was to record myself because I could not remember the prayer completely. And it just would not work for me. For me, I just, open the space like I normally do when I'm going to do tarot readings or mediumship readings, any work that I would do. I have my candle and my incense, and I get into this state of sacredness, right? And I say a little, I say certain affirmations that I use. So I prepare the space as sacred um, to open the records, but I don't use a specific opening prayer. And the way that I do it has been way more efficient to me than the way Linda Howie shows in her book, which has worked for her for many, many, many years. And I know a lot of people that do it that way. So you just have to try different ways to see what works for you. Now, her book has proven to be very beneficial to me, just in the way to understand. Well, her story is fascinating, and she tells her story of her awakening process, which was great. I love that, and she is very good at explaining how to pose appropriate questions, and we'll get there. Okay, so if you're interested in the book, Amazon has it. Now, so it's very advisable to experiment various methods and meditations to discover your own path access to the records. For personal experience, I realized that there's many ways to enter the Akashic records, and you definitely don't need a person, okay, to guide you there. You can do it on your own for sure. Now, you should know what you're doing. You should read and have some kind of instruction, but people have done it just boom, they're in meditation, and all of a sudden they're in the Akashic records, which is fascinating to me. But you know, the way that you pose questions to the Akashic records is very different to any other form of divination that I have ever done. So that's why I think that you should have some kind of instruction on how to do it. Now, many books have been written with instructions. Linda Howe is just one of them on how to enter your own Akashic records. Usually the process involves, grounding and purification first and aligning yourself, which should be included in any kind of work, either, it's cards or crystals or Reiki or SRT, whatever you're doing, you should start with grounding, meditation, and getting yourself prepared. It's also a signal to spirit that we're about to start working. Okay. And this also helps you align with your best ideals and intentions and prohibits you from approaching the Akashic records with too much emphasis on the ego or with some kind of wicked intentions. Okay. One of my one of the things that I say when I'm gonna start working, whatever it is that whatever information I get, it has to be the best for me and for the collective. And I can share some of the little things that I said if you guys that I say before I start working, if you guys are interested in that. Absolutely. So if you, for instance, are upset with an ex or a friend or whatever, and want to get back at them by consulting the Akashic records and manipulate, that's just, it's just not gonna fly. It's just not gonna work. Even if you were gonna get a message, you're gonna get a message for you, that you need to change your mindset, because that's just not allowed. You're just not gonna get anywhere with that. So some of the suggested steps is that during your meditation process, it's suggested to follow some steps like grounding and centering your energy and aligning with your higher self and your guides, and visualize the way to leave behind any emotional or energetic baggage that you may have. Um, and this, I always use grounding, cleaning, and protection. uh and you, well, a lot of you have heard me talking about that. If you have worked with me in any way, you've heard me talk about that. So that's one of the things that is good to do. And you can work with any of the elements for cleaning your energy. And then you want to visualize entering a place. And this place can be anything. I've seen people entering trees. I've seen people entering, you know, um, alien space crafts. uh, I like to see the Akashic record as a library, but I've seen it in different ways. And so even myself, when I'm gonna go in the records, I never know what I'm gonna see. I just go with the flow. Like I've seen like a library, like dark, with books from, top to bottom, wall to wall, like dark, with really dark woods and big leather chairs. And I've seen it um like a white room, like a saucer shape white room with books, but with white couches to sit on and windows all around. um uh, uh One of my students goes into a tree. I mean, whatever. You just visualize entering into a place. And most of the time, I see like big stairways. And most of the time, I have my main guide, Axel. He kind of holds my hand, or Archangel Michael, and walk up the stairs to me. And when we get to the gates, then he leaves and I enter, and there's somebody inside waiting for me to help me and guide me to navigate the records. So there can be all kinds of different representations, physical representations in your visualization of the records. But for today's purposes, we're going to call it the library. Okay. So when you enter in the library, your guide, with your guide, you're going to set the intention. You're going to do that before that. You have your intentions to explore a specific record. So many times when I'm doing like tarot, for example, my seer or myself is like, whatever spirit wants to tell me. You don't do that when you go into the records. You go with a specific intention to learn something very specific. Okay. And it could be related to anything. It could be related to this incarnation, to a past life, but it has to be focused on some kind of healing process. Okay, you want this information because you want to make yourself better in some way. Okay, so you're going to allow your guide to facilitate this process and determine you know where you go. It's not hard. When you go in there, you're going to see things and you're going to know where to go. You're just going to know who to follow. Now, the information that you receive is not necessarily gonna be manifested in a written form. It can take other forms as well. Like I was saying at the beginning, that sometimes I've seen a crystal that I have to like put in somewhere, some doors open. And sometimes I have conversations with somebody, including aliens. Um, I mean, I've received it by opening and reading the information. I've also felt like I haven't received anything, but I am prompted when I get out of the meditation to do automatic writing, and whoa boy, then I get loads and loads and loads of messages. I feel that that is done because they don't want me to forget all these messages. So they make me write it down. So sometimes I'm like, okay, it's not the time for me to get any messages because I've been there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I haven't received anything. But I feel the need when I come out of meditation to journal. And then the messages come like pouring out. Okay. So the messages can come in very different ways. I've also gotten messages when I go to sleep in my dream. So, you just have to keep an open mind, because the process is going to be different for every person. And even for yourself, the process is going to be different. Okay. Every time. Um, Additionally, you need to remember that this practice serves as a vehicle to access higher consciousness, and the information um, may transcend words. Sometimes if you're forced to say the message, you're probably going to be able to say something, but sometimes it's just like an understanding. Sometimes it's like a download. Sometimes it's like an aha moment, like, oh, okay, I get it. And it's more a feeling, it's more an understanding than an actual message that you may say. All right. So what are some of the obstacles of opening the Akashic records? Like with anything, doubt, fear are the biggest obstacles to accessing the wisdom of the Akashic records. So especially if you have like a very rigid expectation about how the experience should look like, you're getting in your own way. So you're creating barriers for yourself. So you really need to keep an open mind and be receptive to the information that comes through. Remember that spirit talks to you through our senses, right? So the practice, the Akashic record should be done regularly to become more comfortable, like with everything. If you want to learn tarot, you practice tarot. You do readings on yourself, you do readings on your friends and your family members, you do reading on your pet, you do readings on little bottles of water. You read for them. You just practice and practice and practice and practice. So by doing regularly, you become more comfortable with the process, and you will develop a greater level of attunement to the records. Additionally, engaging in ritual and regular meditation, there is that again, meditation can enhance your overall receptivity, making it easier to access the records, or engage in other, practices. Now, remember, letting go of doubt and fear while maintaining an open mind, and consistent practice can greatly support your journey in accessing the wisdom of the Akashic records, for sure. So what happens? What happens when you open the records? So it is believed that when you enter the Akashic records, you can access all information about your past lives, present, future lives, and also all information about past of others with their consent. In general, this Akashic record is considered a place where all truth are known. Definitely. The Akashic record will never lie to you. Like your guides will never lie to you. The other day, one of my students asked me, because she heard in a podcast, I think she said that sometimes your guides will lie to you to give you a lesson. No, I don't know who this person was. I have no idea, but no, your guides will never lie to you. The universe is not interested in teaching you lessons like that. That's like your parents punishing you. That's no, that's the universe doesn't do that. They don't have any interest in doing that. That's a very ego thing to do. So no, the Akashic records will never lie to you. So it's definitely all truth are known. Now, while the Akashic record experiences may vary from individual to individual, there is usually a good, a benevolent guide or being, an angel. Sometimes I've seen ETs who will help you access the records. And they will use the language that you're more comfortable with. Actually, I don't think there's language use. I think it's just transfer of information. You just put it in your language that you're more comfortable with. Because I've never heard a voice. I've never heard a spoken message. I just know or read. But there's definitely always somebody that walks with me to the doors and then leaves, and inside the door there's somebody waiting for me that like travels with me throughout the records. So for example, if you're a movie buff, the records may appear as an image on a film screen, right? Or if you're an avid reader, you may see like books on a library because that's what you're more comfortable with, right? Some people describe actually feeling like they're channeling. I feel like that, like I'm channeling, like I'm like some information is being downloaded in my brain from the records through a close connection with the guides. And most of the time I'm not like talking. I've talked to people, like some doors have opened and I'm in this garden and there's somebody there, my mother or somebody, and I sit there and we have a conversation, but those are not very frequent. Usually there's somebody like on my side and they're just kind of helping me throughout. I don't feel like I'm engaging necessarily with them. I just know that they're kind of there. So I get like a lot of channeling information when I'm in the records. Now, the records have a lot of information, okay? Past, present, and future. So they're considered a very valuable for divination purposes and healing, but important to understand that there are, rules and there are boundaries in this. So think of searching the Akashic records as conducting like a Google search. You're not gonna get the tea on any person just because you want to know, right? But you can definitely request specific information about topics like disease and healing and past lives and relationships and soul journey and so on and so forth. Yet this information is going to be filtered through the guidance of your spirit guides, because you may or may not be ready for certain details, and spirit will never give you details that you're not ready to receive. Okay. It's like some people call it like an antivirus protection, blocking your search. So when you get access to information in a relationship with others, it has to be for the good of yourself and for the good of the collective. It will never be against the will or against some other person. Okay. So you can uncover root causes of illnesses, like I was talking about my friend's son, root causes of fear or illnesses or injuries, or if you want to learn more about your personal path and your spiritual growth, this understanding that you get in the records may prompt you to seek ways to heal and reconcile relationships, or understand the roles that people play in your life, uh, and the things that you're destined to do together and things like that. So those are some of the benefits too, in working with records, because you can delve into past lives or future possibilities. So this can enhance your psychic work, and working with other tools. So when you're working with the records, what you're looking for is the highest possible view of the events. So many times this information comes in symbols, which can lead to a greater healing and understanding. So you may become emotional, and you may feel like you have a better understanding if you are going through a difficult situation with whatever, with a person or any kind of situation. You may have a better understanding, or you may become emotional when this is downloaded to you. You can also feel stronger. You will definitely feel stronger. You're not going to come out of the records feeling weaker. You can feel emotional but stronger in the sense of your mission and purpose, because of the information that you have gotten from the records. So those of us who use the records in this way to look at the wisdom that is collected, it can be thought of as like a warehouse connection between all people and all lives. So it's important to understand that when dealing with a concept like the Akashic record, because it's really a concept, it's not a place. It's important to have an open mind and respect for the process, just like with anything. You have to. That's why we talked about a sacred space and place or place, and you don't have to have a specific place. Like, I'm blessed that I have this office, which is clearly a room in my house, but it's my office. but I could do this anywhere. I don't have to have my crystals. I don't have to have my bowls. I don't have to have my candles or my incense. I just need to have the intention of wherever I'm at, and I'm gonna delve into this work to treat it as sacred. Okay, you don't have to have any physical things. I know people that carry a little box, like a little altar, which is cute, but it's not necessary because the sacredness is in your heart. Okay, so some of the tips that to go into the records, it's starting with your intention, and creating a sacred space, and you do that with your intention. You don't need anything. You don't need any tools. Um, so you need to be clear about what is your intention, not only your intention of creating a sacred space, but why do you want to access? Why do you want to have this information? You have to define this. What is what you're hoping to gain from this experience? So this is going to help you focus your energy and establish a clear direction. You never go into the Akashic records. What do I need to know? You ask your guides that. You don't go into the records, just see what they got for you. You have a specific question. You have to be receptive, because oftentimes, I would say most of the time, the answer that you're going to get is not what you expect. Okay. Um, Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's not, or sometimes it has a twist to it of a deeper understanding that you weren't expecting. So you need to be receptive, okay, and open-minded. You need to clear your mind, and that's done with meditation, the breathing exercises, and other practices like that. You need to ground. Every time we go up, we need to anchor down first. Okay, so you need to ground before you go up. Clear your energy before you enter the records. Okay. And the other thing is, what is what I'm going to ask? Okay. For example, you don't want to ask, is so and so going to marry me? That's the kind of question, that clients sometimes ask. And that's where I can help them to rephrase, because that's a yes or no question that I can answer with a pendulum or tarot. I don't need to go into the Akashic records for that. We can ask, would it be a good marriage if I marry this person? Does this person have the same feelings like I do? Do I really feel in love, or this is some kind of infatuation that I have with this person? See, you want deeper questions. You want something to help you understand where you're at. So you have more discernment into moving forward into whatever is what you want to ask. Let's think of something different. You don't want to ask, should I buy the blue house or the green house? Again, that's a yes or no question that I don't need to go into the Akashic records. You can ask, well, I really like the blue house. Is there a connection that I have with that blue house that is calling to me so strongly? And you can do this with tarot too. Am I going to have deep connections to that community? Am I going to be able to find a fulfilling career? Is there going to be community connections, things to do? You know, so you see, you don't want just a yes or no question. You don't want something silly. You want something deeper, something that is going to help you uh, with better understanding, make a decision about your life. So you really need to practice discernment. That's what we call discernment. Um, so it's really crucial to do that, because not all the information that you may receive may seem accurate or relevant to the situation. That's why you need to go deeper. Okay. So you really need to use your intuition to uh, evaluate and get more insight in the information um, received. Now, the other thing that I tell people when I teach them to go into the records is don't rush this process. You should never go into anything, reading anything in a rush. Okay. You know, if you pull a card every morning, you have 5 minutes, you know, that's okay. But in any other kind of practice, you really don't want to rush the process, and this process don't need to be rushed for sure. After you come out of the records, you want to have some water to drink, you want to have a little journal, and you don't have to write a manifesto, right? But you want to have some kind of record of your visits to the records, because the information that you're going to get is going to be crucial in your life. So you want to maintain some kind of record of that. And it's okay to write by hand and then go into your computer if you want to have cleaner, more organized notes. I don't encourage people to go immediately to the computer. There's something magical about writing by hand. And many times, just as in automatic writing, because what's happening is that some automatic writing is happening. Sometimes the messages are going to come very quickly, and you want to capture that and then kind of put it together. Okay. So you don't want to be editing in your computer the messages that are getting, because then you're going to change it. You want to get the entirety of the message and then put it together, and then you'll have a better understanding when all of it comes out, and then you can edit that if you think it needs some kind of editing. If you know, if you're writing chicken scratches and it's not pretty and you want to make it pretty, you can put it in a different journal with a prettier handwriting, or put it in your computer. But I strongly recommend doing everything by hand first. Okay. And then if you have more questions, ask more questions. You can ask more questions when you're there. If there's something that you don't understand or that you want to understand more, ask more questions. If you have come out of the records already and you think of more questions, ask your guides about that. Ask them to talk to you in your dreams, or ask the question and try to get the message through automatic writing, or make a note of your question. So whenever you go back to the records, you can post that question. So that's also other reasons for keeping a record. Some people have said that they have had negative experiences in the records. I have never had any negative experiences in the records. And I think that if somebody does, something is not okay, because there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be. The records is one of the highest energy level places in the ether. and whoever is in the records should have a pure heart. And so it doesn't make any sense to me to have a negative experience. Now, you may think that you got a negative experience because whatever the answer you got was not what you wanted. Um, going back to should I marry this person or not? If you have been lying to yourself that this person is not getting in touch with you because they're afraid of the love that they fear for you, but they're really not in love with you, and you got that and you didn't like it, that's not a negative experience. It's the truth, and they're gonna tell you the truth. So I've never heard of anybody having a true negative experience. If you do, something is amiss. Okay. If you should learn how to test your guides, um, whenever you're having interactions with them, you're not gonna offend them. They don't have an ego. They want you to test them because they don't want any other lower vibrational spirit entity to be in contact with you, especially when you're entering such a sacred space as the Akashic records. So you should test them. And if anybody in the records is being judgmental or nasty, or you're not in the records, because that is just not allowed. It's just not allowed in there. So I don't know of anybody having any negative experiences or having any negative consequences after coming out of the records at all, ever. So if for any reason you've had experiences like that, talk to me, or check every step of the way, because something is amiss. Okay. So when are you ready? Well, you're ready when you're called to do it. You're ready when you're able to speak with your guides, to see your guides. You're ready when you can successfully meditate. All those elements, but especially if you're called to do it. And sometimes we're interested in a lot of things, especially when we're starting our spiritual journey, which is very normal. Uh, and it's funny because if you're not ready, there's going to be some roadblocks. And if you see a lot of roadblocks, like you're going to do it, but something happens, and you get a phone call at that moment, and somebody needs you at that moment, and you have to reschedule that. Or you trying to get the book and the book is out of print, or whatever. If you start finding some roadblocks, you're not ready. The universe is telling you, just put it aside for a moment, and when you're ready, but if you push and push and push and push, you're not gonna get anything. You're just not, if you're not ready. Okay. So uh, the other thing is that you really need to be aligned, and you should understand that, and you should be able to feel that, to align your energy with your higher vibrations and your higher self, and being able to maintain that even outside of the meditative space. So that's one of the ways to know that if you're ready to go into the Akashic records. um, Also consider learning different methods and trying different methods to determine which one resonates better with you. Like I tried Linda Howie's method for a long time, and it was just really frustrating to me. So try to read, try to learn different methods of going into the records. Um, and then after you have grounded and you have your sacred space, and um, as you alter your consciousness during meditation, um, the information that you receive may feel almost like a dream. Okay. Um, and you may initially remember everything, but if you don't keep track, you're going to forget, just like in your dreams. Just like you wake up and you're like, oh wow, I had these fantastic dreams. Oh, I'll remember that. And then, you know, you go brush your teeth, use the bathroom, start breakfast, and then you go like, what was that? I had a great, what was it? Keep a record immediately. So that's also part that you don't want to rush, because you really want to first come back into yourself. You know, you don't want to come out of the records and get up and go. That's going to be really disconcerting for your body. Okay, you need to allow your energy to come back and to kind of settle into your body. So that's why having some water to drink and just being a safe space. You can talk to people. It's not that you know you can't talk to people, but don't get up and go immediately. You know, just move around a little bit in your, you know, while you're sitting. Try to journal a little bit, and within 5-10 minutes start moving and get up and go. Okay. Um, so I think that's pretty much it. If you want to know more, and if you want to learn how to go into the Akashic records, that's what I'm here for. Let me know, and we can certainly talk about it. The Akashic records is a fantastic space to be in. It's a space of love and light and peace, and it's life changing. The information that you get is incredibly profound and life changing, because you're just gonna be able to see yourself in such a different way, and you're gonna be so much more in tune with yourself. Well, we've been here for almost an hour, so I think it's time for me to be quiet and let you go with your day. So thank you for coming here, and I love having you in this space with me. And remember, every single Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, we have a live in different topics. Let me know if you're interested in learning something specific. I'll be happy to do a live or a short video about it. And I'll see you next time. Bye.